everybody. Good to see everyone and good to see your note takers. Erika and I are looking at all the different note takers. There's Fireflies, there's Read AI. Sibongile has her own personal one there. Sibongile is note taker. So it really is interesting. And I love that we get to see how all the different AI note takers take notes
Definitely.
as part of the experience. So we can decide which ones we want and don't want afterwards as well. So thank you everybody for joining. It's always so much more fun when we have lots of people in the room. And as you know, we are recording, and so you would have got that little message. We are recording as you joined. But don't worry, we do stop the recording when everyone starts asking their questions and sharing their comments afterwards. Something I do have to say, though, is that our AI note takers don't leave. So you will still have notes taken by some AI note taker somewhere. So it's not completely private, but it doesn't go onto our recording that we share afterwards. And I'm so excited to interview Erika today. I'm so glad that she said yes. And I think it's different for Erika because she is normally the one interviewing other people.
Definitely. Hi, everybody. Lovely to be here with you guys. And thank you, Jane, for the opportunity.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so I think Erika, you'll see from her role as Director of Networkers International and also at the Women in Tech as a board member, she's always interviewing people and getting to know new people. So I'm really glad that we get to know you better today, Erika.
Fantastic.
So as we go along, for those of you who know me and know us and know this every second last Wednesday of the month time, you'll know that most of my time is actually engaged with companies. And I was telling Eric, it's been such a busy couple of weeks training them on how to attract and select the best people for their teams. And I also love coaching people on how to have the confidence and skills to succeed in interviews. That makes me very, very happy. And I am lucky enough to have known Erika for many years through recruitment and more recently through her amazing passion project, which really has ignited my heart and the hearts of, I think, anyone who comes into contact with women in tech. So that has also been such a privilege to continue connecting with Erika around that and around women in tech. So we'll hear more about women in tech today as well. So Erika, I'm not going to spend too long introducing you because I think you'll do a much better job of filling us in on the detail.
Sure thing.
And so our title is Juggling, and it's careers, it's a passion project, it's your family, and we're talking about integrating ambitions. And so please do let us know a little bit more about what each of those are and what they mean to you. That would be wonderful.
Thanks, Jane. Well, firstly, good afternoon. And I just have to do a shout out to Kaz Pollock, if she's still there, because I used to work with Kaz a long time ago. So hi there, Kaz. But lovely to connect with all of you. And thank you for this opportunity. So yeah, just a little bit about me. So as Jane says, I fell into recruitment. I think that like many of us do, but I fell into recruitment many years ago and have been in that space ever since. I think as Jane is saying, you either crazy enough or silly enough, one of the two, to be really sort of passionate about it and actually love what you do. But it's awesome and I feel very privileged to be actually a part of the recruitment space where we really are making a difference in people's lives and actually contributing something positive by finding the right job for the right person at the right company. So that's something that's always stayed with me. In fact, I think when I started looking for a job myself, because I started with a very, very different career path. I mean, after school and all my life, I wanted to dance, and that's what I went off and did. So, at the ripe old age of 25, I decided I needed to find a real job because my knees were no longer cooperating with me. And that's actually how I got into recruitment, because I went for lots of interviews at recruitment companies, didn't have a clue what I was doing, and wondered why I wasn't getting any jobs until somebody kindly enough saw some kind of glimmer of hope and decided to employ me. And that's how I got into recruitment. So, I think that's often been, sort of a passion for me, is to help other people obviously find jobs and see, those skills and talents that are maybe lurking in the depths, but might not always be easily available. And yeah, I think it's really just stuck with me for many years, and it continues to be something that I'm hugely excited about. I'm fortunate enough now to be in a space where, with my partner Andrew Mathis, we own our own company. So it's wonderful to actually have a small company where we are in control and can do all the things that we want to do and make it as personal as we'd like to. Obviously, by sharing and putting people at the heart of our business, I think that's really, the key thing for us, both from a staff perspective and obviously the candidates and clients that we work with. So that's a little bit about my day job. In terms of women in tech, I think that was something that I was roped into by our founding member, which is actually Melissa Slaymaker. And I bless Melissa often, and Melissa used to work with me when we worked at the same company, and she came to me one day after having a chat with Ayumi, who heads up our global movement and actually started the Women in Tech movement. And Melissa said, "This is something I'm keen to do. Would it be all right if I did it?" And I was like, "Yes, but I want to do it too." So that's how it kind of started. We didn't have a clue what we were in for, and that was actually over COVID as well. So I mean, yeah, it was just completely crazy, but it's managed to grow and develop over the last 4 years. So that's my sort of two main things. I won't forget my family. I'll just pull them into the equation quickly so that you know what that status is all about.
Yes,
Thanks, Jane. And I'm very lucky to have a really, really supportive family, an amazing husband. I had to wait a long time to find him, but I did. Yeah, he's super supportive, as are my kids. They know what it's all about that I do. And they are, sort of really behind me when I say to them, "Listen, Mom's going to be late for dinner," or whatever the story is. They're like, "What are you doing, Mom? Is it work or is it Women in Tech?" They know what the drill is, and they really are behind that. And then also my mom as well, who's always been a role model for me and a huge support. She actually lives with us, so she gets to do lots of picking up kids and stuff for me. So it's all those things combined that enable us, to be able to focus on the work aspect, the women in tech aspect, and also make sure that everybody survives, as well as in a family kind of concept as well.
I love that. And I think it shows how agile and flexible and passionate you are, Erika, that you're able to move between one and the other and your family, and that your family is so supportive. And I have to say to everyone, if you see Erika in person, you'll see that she is actually built like a dancer.
Not so much anymore.
Yes, fit and fabulous. Doesn't matter at what life stage she's at. So, and I think at the most recent Women in Tech event, you were saying the same, Eric, and it was amazing to look around the room and just say, "Sure, you started this over COVID, the piece in South Africa," and just to see how it's grown and how inspired people are. And I love that you're making a difference in people's lives, whether it's through Networkers International and recruitment and Women in Tech, and at the same time impacting your family because they see your passion.
Absolutely.
So very, very inspiring. And I know today we talk about people having, 6 or 7 careers, and they're going to have to juggle and they're going to change. But when you started off, did you think about that you were going to juggle and you were going to have a couple of things going at one time, or did you imagine something more linear in your career?
Absolutely. I think I was definitely in this mindset. I wish somebody had actually pulled me aside and said, "You know what, you can actually think outside the box. You can do more." And I think that was part of the inspiration for Melissa and I to actually do Women in Tech, because it really was, what would we have wanted to tell our younger selves? What have we learned in the course of our careers that we could have actually helped younger people actually leapfrog the system and kind of get to where they need to be. So I think, for me, actually coming from a very different environment, I think I always felt that, sort of on the back foot type of feeling, because I hadn't done the traditional kind of things to kind of get to where you needed to be in a corporate type environment. And I think that was, sort of what pushed me. But I think, inherently I am a fairly energetic person. So, I mean, that goes in my favor. Some people want to yell at me for that, but it's a good thing for me.
Very energetic. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I like to be busy, and I think that's obviously what's kept me going. But obviously starting off your career, I mean, you just really, I think for me was wanting to do the best that I could do for myself, and actually prove to myself, as well as obviously the company I started with, Kelly, back in those days. And that I could do the job and I could do it well. And yeah, as you sort of start kind of moving up the ladder, because you are getting to achieve some of the things that you set out to do, then you continue to think, oh, okay, I can do a little bit more, I can do a little bit more, and then go from there. But I think it's only when opportunities are presented to you and you're brave enough to kind of take that leap of faith, that you get to kind of go, oh, I can actually do this. And it all starts off from really baby steps. It doesn't go into the full blown explosion that sort of happens in what maybe you see, like for instance in a women in tech space right now. I mean, it really starts small and it continues to grow. And I think the one thing particularly with women in tech is that it's something that resonates so well with all of us. It's a need. And I think that really kind of goes back to, if you look at your the Japanese ikigai, finding what is your passion, what do you do well, what do you love, and what does the world need, and what will people pay you to do. However, in the women in tech space, no, we're not get paid to do it because it's an NPO. But I think it's really is eventually putting all those kind of concepts together and getting to that point.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a lot of people will probably be able to resonate with that sense of, I didn't really get a specific qualification for what I'm doing right now, and I didn't follow a traditional career path.
Yeah.
And yes, you didn't, but Erika, you also clearly have strengths, whether they are learned or things that come naturally to you, that have enabled you to get to where you are now and give you the ability to juggle all of these things so well. So I might just go into that uncomfortable question and ask you to please share with us, what do you think you're really good at?
Okay.
Whether it's things you've learned or things that come naturally, but there are things you're good at that help you do so well.
Sure. Sure. And I think, it's something that, sort of growing up as a dancer, you're basically told all the things you do wrong. So I'm very good at actually figuring out what I do wrong. But, you have to learn to sort of understand what you do well, because you are a unique person in your own rights, and everybody does certain things better than others. And I think that's one of the learnings that I've kind of had in terms of my whole career, in terms of, okay, what do I do well and what can I contribute, but what does somebody else do well? So whether that's why we have teams. So I mean, I don't have to do everything to the best of the best. You can rely on obviously the people around you to actually pull in the qualities that you're not good at. And I think that's one of the things. I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, but I also know the people that I resonate well with, and I do try and surround myself by like-minded people who actually give you energy rather than sort of suck that energy out of you. So really just positive people. And I think that's a natural tendency to kind of gravitate to those people.
Mm.
I think for me as well is that I can fit into lots of different spaces, and that's always been kind of a good thing for me. Like I don't think I've got a little potential, like a niche. I can fit into the crazy people, the not so crazy people, and the quiet people, because I'm actually somewhere in the middle. I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually more, I don't know, the space between intro and extra. I'm somewhere in the middle there, so I can move if I need to along that line. And I think that allows me to use the energy that I think I've naturally cultivated over my lifetime, to actually infuse people and be positive. I think I am sort of a naturally positive person. I do have that sort of can-do approach, and that kind of if I get together with like-minded people like Melissa, for instance, who's also crazy, it does amazing things for us. And I sometimes need that little bit of a push, and somebody that's got that yes, you can do it kind of thing is actually really good for me. I then tend to kind of go, okay, how do we do this? And then like to put all the keys together, to kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together to kind of be able to make that happen. So you definitely learn those things, and I think it's also, the other thing I think for me is actually now that I'm a bit older, is sort of sitting back and being a little bit more reflective of like, what are those actual things? Because it's an uncomfortable space for all of us to be in. I would recommend all of you go and have a look at that hashtag I'm remarkable, because I think that is run through Google, because I think it's an amazing exercise that all of us, particularly as women, need to do, because you need to be able to understand what makes you as an individual remarkable, because that is your gift, and that because you need to be you, because all the other people are taken. So you need to be you, and realize that you have got value to add, whatever that might be. So that's, I think, a really important part, to take stock and be real with yourself, and honest with yourself about what you do well and what you're not great at, and find the people that are great at the things that you're not great at to pull into your circle and help you. And I think having those different types of people in your life, we had a great session with one of the other speakers that we often use within Women in Tech, Leah Kay. And one of her things that she says is you've got a whole variety. And I mean, there's obviously lots of different spectrums of these, I'm sure you've heard of, but things like your butt kicker, who's the person that kicks your butt when you sort of say, okay, well, you're feeling sorry for yourself or whatever, they get you going again. The people that you can kind of, bounce things off, your teacher, your learners, those kind of things, your pit crew that gets you back on track. You've got to have those different types of people in your life, I think, that you can draw on. And we do have, naturally we gravitate to those people, but it's to use those and to be conscious about those people that will actually help you move past, especially the difficult times, and get into places where you need to be.
Yeah, that's so critical, Erika. I think what you're saying is that it's not just about having the knowledge and the tool, but it's about your energy, and your ability to inspire others means you needing to remain inspired yourself. And you've seen that for you being, maybe some people call it an ambivert, not an extrovert, not an
there
introvert.
We
go.
Thank you, Jane.
But you've identified that there are positive people around you, and having, the people who inspire you. And I've seen you and Mel when you're up on a stage and you're talking, you really do ignite one another as you talk. It's really beautiful to watch. And I think that's so key for all of us to think about: who are the positive people in our lives? Who are the people who inspire us, so that we can be positive, so we can let that overflow to others. So yeah, it's wonderful that you haven't only identified technical skills or knowledge, that it's really about your team, your support.
Absolutely. And I think, as you're saying, Jane, that having a positive approach to life in general is such an important thing, because, for me, I think it really is what you put out there, you get back. And, as tough as that might be in any kind of situation, if you've got a good team around you, you get to be more positive more of the time. I mean, obviously we all go through our ups and downs, but I think that having that positive energy, that can-do approach, I think, is something that definitely helps you get to where you are, because you just resonate differently with people, and people, you pull the positive things towards you rather than pushing them away. And I think that's also, being able to sort of say yes to things rather than, even when you're not sure, is kind of going, okay, I'm going to say yes anyway, not closing off those doors, and being able to sort of step into that, whatever that uncomfortable space is, and really just enjoy it, because, we never learn when we're in a comfortable space. We're always learning when it's in a little bit of an uncomfortable space. And I think that's, really what we've got to keep challenging ourselves with, is not to stay stagnant, but at the same time, it's got to be a balanced kind of scenario. You've got to do the things that you love doing. You've got to do the things that, make you feel good, and that, inspire you to do more, because if you're not doing those kind of things, it's going to fall flat. And I think that's, that definitely helps me.
Yes, I think, yes, that word is like resonating now, but it really helps to say yes. And I love that you framed discomfort and being uncomfortable as really positive. It's an opportunity to grow. And that's the key to resilience and being able to have an impact. So I love that. And so, Erika, on the flip side, what are the parts that have made it really difficult to juggle or challenging to have that impact in all of those areas: your career, your passion project, and your family? Yeah, obstacles
Absolutely.
you had to overcome, challenges. Tell us about those.
Sure thing. There's lots of them. And I mean, obviously, no 2 days are different. And I mean, it does, obviously, the juggling part, I think I do naturally okay. I can kind of like switch my brain off and hop between things. So I think I'm just lucky that I can sort of do it like that. But yeah, sure, there's some days that are completely overwhelming. And, you are putting in the extra hours. I mean, that goes without saying. I think we all know, you can never get all of the stuff done in a normal sort of 8-hour day. There's always going to be overtime or extra stuff that you need to do. And that includes, sort of cutting into family time on weekends and that as well. I'm very happy, well, very fortunate that both my boys are at that age where they love their computers and screens and things more than they love me, I think, at this stage. So they're very happy to be able to spend extra time, obviously, on their devices. So that's a good trade-off. But we make up for it and we look for, I think it really is about kind of understanding, quality over quantity. I think that's a big thing. Maybe just to backtrack a little bit, when I first had my kids, I decided I was going to, well, my husband and I decided that I was going to be a good stay-at-home mom, and really devote all my love, and attention to them. But I found out very soon that my husband was saying to me, please go back to work. Because it just wasn't the right thing for me to do. I'm very grateful for the time. And I think I took off about 3 years, which was a fairly long stretch of time. But yeah, I was very grateful for the time while my kids were like really little. But it wasn't the best space for me to be in as a full-time mom. And it takes nothing away. I still think it's the hardest job in the world for the least amount of pay and reward. And I really do take my hats off to the moms that can be stay-at-home moms, because it's a tough job, and you really don't get the recognition or the reward, that you deserve. I think it should be the highest paid job in the world, in my opinion. But anyway, so yeah, I had to sort of also come to terms with the fact that I'm actually not great at just being a stay-at-home mom. I need to actually work as well, because that was what was fulfilling for me. And if, as we were saying earlier, if I feel fulfilled and I've got that positive reinforcement for myself, I can actually do more things, and I think then can be a better mom to my boys and a better wife to my husband. In that scenario. So, again, it's also, learning as you go. And sometimes it is just trial and error on how you do that. So, the other part of it is really communicating. I think that's important. My kids know exactly what it's all about, as does my husband. In fact, my husband's great at actually selling both what I do as Women in Tech and also as networkers, as a recruitment consultancy, which I absolutely love, and very fortunate to kind of have that. So I think that enables it. But I mean, there are times where I miss out on stuff because I've got a meeting when I have to make, those hard choices. But between my husband and I, we make a plan. I mean, he also works, so between us, we kind of do juggle and kind of make sure that one of us is there to show up for the kids. So, very fortunate in that respect, and that's where I take my hats off to single moms, because, I seriously, I don't know how you do it, because I find it difficult to do it the way that, when there's two of us. So, everybody's got their challenges in terms of, what it is that you can do, and you can only do as much as you can do. I mean, that's also something that I've had to kind of come to terms with. I'm terrible because I want to get everything done like now. And I know I can't do that. So I've got a lot better over the years at saying, okay, cool. Be realistic. What are you going to get done today? What are you going to be? What can you just leave and do tomorrow? It's still got to be done, but like, okay, what makes sense? And if I do this and if I do that, rationalize it and be logical about what you're going to need to deliver, because you also can't burn yourself out. And that's another thing for me, is that you can't work flat out that you actually have nothing left for you or for anybody else. You have to kind of, pace yourself a little bit, and make sure that you can take that little bit of time out, that you build holidays or, breaks with your kids, with your family away, that gives you that balance between the two. And I think those are the things that allow me to kind of like move between the spaces, because we've got these like little clumps of like valuable sort of family time, which we really spending, sort of 24 hours together, and I ban those devices as much as I can, that we can actually talk to each other and do things together. So, that's how I kind of like build that in, and, to have those opportunities where we can carve out those special times, which definitely, sustain us between the bits and pieces where you can't actually have that same intensity. But yeah, I think it's you still need to sort of juggle on a daily basis. There's always something that you're going to feel, I think, especially when you, as a wife, as a mom, as a daughter, in those kind of roles, you're always going to feel like you're letting somebody down to, you know, some extent. But you also have to remember that it's about you, and you know, if you're not getting what you need, you can't give it to everybody else. So I think that's the part that I've kind of like let go of some of the guilt, which I think we all carry in different shapes and forms. And really just, you know, sort of be real about what you can do and how you can do it, and then, you know, just give it your all. But you know, it helps incredibly, and I'm repeating this, but it helps if you enjoy it. You know, it helps if you're with the right people, because then it's easy. You know, you pick up for each other. You there as a team, and I do feel that my team in the office is amazing. You know, like if I can't be there for, like tomorrow we have a women in tech meetup happening in Johannesburg, so I'm out of the office tomorrow, and literally I say to them, okay guys, I'm not here, you know, will you run this? I've got great backup from that perspective, where the team will jump in, they know exactly what's happening, and they can run on their own. And we always laugh because the minute I go away, then the placements seem to happen. So I said, I'm happy to go now, the placements will happen. So, you know, that tends to work quite well as well. But I think it is really building those teams around you so that you can rely on them, and, you know, that you can sort of hand over the reins comfortably and not have to worry. Because, you know, if you hold everything here, you can't, you know. And I mean, you know, we all, lots of us are sort of a A-type personality where you want to control everything. And I think that's also one of the things that I've kind of had to like let go of, because you can't do it all. You've got to do, you can do as much as you can, but you have to let go of some of the reins and have the backup and support, and be surrounded with those people that will back you up, so that you can feel comfortable and actually enjoy and be in the moment of what it is that you're actually doing. So I think that's yeah, my other key go-to when it comes to being able to sort of jump between the two. And that also goes for my husband. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have Adam in my life, and to have the partner that I have who is that understanding. So, you know, it does, as well as my mom, you know, who can kind of like, please go shopping, please do the dishes, please, you know, pick up the kids. You know, if you have that kind of support, it makes it a whole hell of a lot easier. And, you know, not everybody can, you know, everybody's got different kind of circumstances.
Yeah, and I love that you keep mentioning team and people around you, and that you can't do this alone, and you can't hold everything too tightly and try and control everything. And Erika, I must say, I think the fact that you have a wonderful team and you have positive people around you also speaks to your ability to build relationships. And I think there's a part that, you know, it's just life, where we end up, how we end up, our circumstances. And then it also talks to our ability to build relationships and collaborate and inspire others. And because that is such a strength of yours, I think it really helps with building that, the team at work, the team at home, the team at Women in Tech. So those skills that you have, that natural ability, really helps build what you also need to be resilient and to be able to keep going. So some people, I'm sure, are listening and thinking, oh, actually, I told you I did a survey on LinkedIn this morning. I did a poll, and I asked if people have a passion project as well as their career, or a side hustle of sorts. Yes, no. And then the third option was no, but I'd really like to. And it really came out strongly on the yes, I do, and the no, but I'd really like to. Very few people said, no, I don't, and I don't want that. So I imagine there are people at this life stage, this career stage, in the room, or have friends or family they're thinking of right now, who would love to be able to start juggling. Maybe they love their career and they want to start that passion project, or maybe they're in a passion project in volunteering and they think, I really need to start a career of some sorts. So what would you advise someone who's wanting to expand and start juggling and start building up something that they don't have? Because you mentioned something about baby steps earlier on as well. Doesn't all
Yeah,
just appear. Yeah, please share
absolutely.
your advice and your tips. What
Sure,
would you say?
Joan. Look, I think, for a career is the same thing. It's also reach out and network, because I think that's one of the things that we don't realize. We've got so many people that are in similar situations, and I think, women in tech is really, it's also about creating those networks and ecosystems. We all know about the boys club. Well, we're a little bit behind you, and I don't actually understand why, but we need the girls club as well, and that's our ecosystems that we're building, because there's lots of like-minded people, and sometimes you don't need to do it all by yourself. I think that's the often the thing. It's quite a daunting, overwhelming thing if you have to start everything from scratch. But there's lots of opportunities to jump in and be part of other organizations that are already doing stuff. So I think it's really bite off as much as you can chew for the moment, and then kind of go with it. If there's, I mean, your passion project could be anything, but it's got to be the thing that makes you feel good about doing. So whatever that is, because if it is, you will make time to do it. You will find resources to do it. But again, any of these things, you've got to kind of go, what do I initially need to get started? Who do I need to network with? Because a lot of times, most things you can't do by yourself. You have to find the people that are going to support you in some way, shape, or form. And then it's to start with something small. Achieve that and then build on it. But it just means you have to start. I think that's the big thing for most people, is that you think about things and you talk about things, but then we don't do the things. And I think for me, that's often where the stalling kind of comes in, and it doesn't happen. You've got to literally throw yourself in the deep end a bit, and go, because you will make it happen if you decide, okay, cool, I'm going to do whatever it is. If you put that goal out there and you say, okay, cool, I'm doing this, I'm inviting people to attend or whatever it might be, then you have to do it. So I think it really is committing yourself to it, but also taking that giant step of actually saying, right, it's happening. I'm going to build it, and the people will come. I think that's a good way to kind of describe it. But also, you've got to be realistic. I mean, you can't set yourself up for failure. You've got to have thought about what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what is the goal that you want to achieve. So, your thinking has to be done, I think, up front. But then after that, it's jump in with both feet and swim. And if you're sinking, swim harder, because I think that's exactly what's going to get you to the next thing. And people gravitate to you. People can see what people want you to succeed. Especially if it's something that they can resonate with as well. Yeah, resonate. Let me try that again. Resonate with. So that would really be sort of is do the doing. Don't wait for everything to be perfect, because it's not going to be. It never is. And you've got to think on your feet. I think that often happens is, you'd be able to pivot. So, if you get an opportunity, it might not be what you initially envisage it to be. And that goes for careers as well. You might you might be able to take a role in a company that you really like the company, but it's not your ideal job, or the other way around. But it's also, don't say no, because of course, evaluate it and see. But if it gets you to your next step, maybe that's what you need to do. Is what are those doors that have been open for you? Walk through the door. Don't slam the door shut, because even if it's not exactly what you envisaged, it's a step in the right direction to get to where you want to be. And you have to be flexible enough, I think, to pivot in whether it's a work scenario, whether it's a passion project scenario. It's go where it takes you, because those opportunities are what's going to get you to where you want to be ultimately. And you've got to just walk the talk, and take those opportunities, make them work for you. Shape them a little bit as you're going through the process. But if you've got that support, to do it, then go for it.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying, Erika, about it might not look ideal now.
No.
But jump in, and you never know where that will take you. If you don't jump in and start moving,
exactly,
then you're not going to be able to see the opportunities that only come into view after you've gone around that corner.
That's right. 100%.
Really love that. Oh, thank you, Erika. Any last tips before we open up for people to ask questions and share their ideas or feedback? Maybe even for people who are starting off their careers and think, oh, I'm just starting. my career, everything. I don't have any working experience.
100%.
What should I develop?
Sure. I think reach out to people. One of the key things that we've often been talking about in some of the meetups that we've had is talking about mentors.
Mhm.
And if I think back for me starting off, I mean, starting my career, I didn't know what a mentor was at that stage. I mean, I didn't think I knew anything at that point, but you learn and grow. And I mean, the world is different now to it was when I started working. And we have names for these things. They're far more widely recognized. And those are the things that you need to take advantage of. I would say, if you're starting out your career, look for somebody that you look up to and approach them and say to them, I want to learn from you. Please, would you be my mentor? And you can learn so many things that can actually just really jumpstart your career. And I think that's the thing that for me, if I'm looking back and thinking, I had mentors. I didn't know at the time that that's what they were, but I had amazing people that were hugely supportive and that I, respected and learned from, and they were like very amazing in really sort of like guiding you and giving you insights and that as well, because we don't all start off well. I was a horrible leader. And I wasn't a leader, I was a
I
manager.
imagine that.
Oh no, shocking. Terrible. Because I just didn't get it at that stage. I wanted it done. And that, but those are the kind of learning opportunities that you get. Somebody needs to sit you down and tell you the honest truth. Is like, what, if you're cracking the whip, and my husband still tells me if my whip doesn't work, I just get out a bigger stick. But no, you need carrots as well. But it's learning how to, a lot of the skills that we learn through our careers is you learn as you grow, because you're not always necessarily exposed to all of it. But I think some of the biggest things is confidence, communication, and getting to being confident enough to put yourself out there, to ask the questions, to stand up, to put your hand up and say, yes, I want to learn more, teach me this, and really being able to communicate well, whether you're in a corporate environment or any other environment. I think that's important, but it's got to come from your heart. You've got to mean what you say. So, and then I think also leverage those opportunities for the people that you look up to. Ask them to be your mentors, because they will grow and guide you. And it really is quite a privilege, I think, to be asked by somebody to support them. Choose wisely, because you can be picky about who you choose, and it's got to be somebody that you like kind of really connect with, for it to work. But I think those are some of the key things that you can't be shy, because people will not recognize you for just the work that you do. You have to be telling them in the very nicest of ways, what you have actually achieved and what you have done. But you can't sit there and expect people just to recognize you for who you are. You've got to do the doing. I think that goes without saying. But at the same time, surround yourself with people that are going to help you get there. Learn the lessons from the people that are happy to share, because there's a lot of them out there. And I mean, it's some of the stuff that we do, from a women in tech perspective. If you look at, I mean, there's mentorship programs that you can join up, globally. So mentorship is a big thing. It's a huge help, to learn the lessons really quickly and get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, Erika, I don't think you said, it goes without saying. I definitely don't think it goes without saying. I'm so glad you said that, because it really is very difficult to think about, how do I talk about what I've done, or how do I talk about what I've done well, and without coming across as boastful or arrogant. But I just want people to know, so that they can see the value I can add, because I can see the value I can add, and I want there to be a connection. So it's not that easy. And I love the way you really help younger people entering the workplace to be able to build that confidence and that communication, and teach them how to collaborate. You're doing amazing work at Networkers International and Women in Tech, and in your family.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
Your biggest fans, and I'm so grateful that you shared your story with us. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure.